World War I. Summary, causes and facts. Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Tensions had been brewing throughout Europe, especially in the troubled Balkan region of Southeast Europe, for years before World War I actually broke out. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand set off a rapidly escalating chain of events. Austria-Hungary, like many countries around the world, blamed the Serbian government for the attack and hoped to use the incident as justification for settling the question of Serbian nationalism once and for all. Kaiser Wilhelm II. World War I begins. The Western Front. First Battle of the Marne. Both sides dug into trenches, and the Western Front was the setting for a hellish war of attrition that would last more than 3 years. World War I books and art. The bloodshed on the battlefields of the Western Front, and the difficulties its soldiers had for years after the fighting had ended, inspired such works of art as All Quiet on the Western Front, by Erich Maria Remarque, and In Flanders Fields, by Canadian Dr. Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. The Eastern Front. Russian Revolution. America enters World War I. Gallipoli Campaign. With World War I having effectively settled into a stalemate in Europe, the Allies attempted to score a victory against the Ottoman Empire, which entered the conflict on the side of the Central Powers in late 1914. Battle of the Isonzo. World War I at sea. After the Battle of Dogger Bank in January 1915, in which the British mounted a surprise attack on German ships in the North Sea, the German Navy chose not to confront Britain's mighty Royal Navy in a major battle for more than a year, preferring to rest the bulk of its naval strategy on its U-boats. World War I planes. Second Battle of the Marne. The Harlem Hellfighters and other all-black regiments. But they were not deployed for overseas combat in World War I. Blacks serving alongside white soldiers on the front lines in Europe was inconceivable to the U.S. military. Toward armistice. Treaty of Versailles. World War I casualties. Legacy of World War I. Photo galleries. Ronald Aiello, president of the United States War Dogs Association, says that German Shepherds, Bulldogs, Airedale Terriers and Retrievers were the most commonly used dog breeds during World War I. Terriers were a preferred breed during the war, Golden says, for their loyalty, rodent hunting skills and friendly demeanors. World War I dogs, especially terriers, proved to be productive rat hunters. In France in 1915, a dog is dressed up as a German soldier, complete with pipe and goggles, to the amusement of soldiers marching by. The dogs would not only locate wounded soldiers, as shown in this 1917 image, they would also help to transport them from the battlefield. Army balloons were primarily used to scout enemy territory and to transport equipment. An illustration by Willie Stower depicts men aboard a World War I submarine. A field gun sits on display at a wooden area that was once occupied by U.S. Marines during the 1918 Battle of Belleau Wood, which was an Allied response to the German spring offensive.